Hi everyone, my name is Tatiana, LifeinGlow Wellness, and today in this video I would like to share with you some answers to the frequently asked questions about metaphorical cards. Well, as you can predict, the most common question is, what are metaphorical cards? In the Western world, actually, they're not very well known. They're super popular in Eastern Europe among people of helping professions, but here I always have to explain what it is before each session with a client. So metaphorical cards are specially designed cards which are packed in decks, and they are created for activating our subconscious, unconscious mind. That is, for example, if you come with a certain request, let's say it's deciding on what to do with your occupation, profession, or you're not sure what's going on in your relationship, or maybe you want to move somewhere. So all typical questions which everyone at some point goes through. And you, as a client, will word your request, and together with the cards, we will look at the situation from different angles and find possible solutions. Now, another question is, what is it good for, right? So, and in this case, there is quite a bit of variety. So you can be either a coach or a therapist or a counselor. I, for example, mainly do metaphorical cards counseling, mock counseling, and also I do some coaching. More often, I would say I do counseling, just because maybe it's one of my favorite methods. And also it can be therapy. In the future, I'm going to offer some therapy sessions as well. So it really depends on how you use it. You can even use it for some development tasks, for example, to help kids to develop their imagination, or even adult people, right? To boost your confidence, or to, for example, if you're creating a story or something, that with the cards you can get some ideas of how to proceed with your story. So the application range is really broad, but the most common is pretty much to use it in situations where any counseling session or therapy session would be. There is a little bit of a restriction there. So there are certain groups of people to whom this method is not recommended, for example, psychotic people, and a few more. But in general, it's very, very applicable to any helping profession, and it's fairly easy to learn if you feel that that's the method for you. So as a client, I would say the benefit is that, first of all, it's much more fun than a regular session, and secondly is that it really is as if it's a shortcut to your decisions, to your to releasing your potential, to coping with some emotions which are blocking you, and things like that. So in my opinion, it brings at least 5-10 times faster results than many other methods. So now another question what I get is this the same as oracle cards or tarot cards? And no, it's not the same. It's a completely different method. However, I have to say that, for example, I have a deck which is, I can show you an image from that deck, and it has images by an artist who also has an oracle card deck. So there could be a bit of overlapping, especially if it's I would say some more surrealistic images, but it's in most cases you wouldn't find a similar oracle card deck or tarot deck. So these images, first of all, they are not grouped in sort of arcana or whatever, so there's nothing like that. So even though I actually do respect tarot and I use it for myself a little bit, but in general this is a completely different method. And metaphorical cards can have also more like abstract images, and usually they are designed, like I would say, some decks, especially for working with traumas, or something which requires more variety of how to interpret the card. You would usually find, let's say, a watercolor image or something like that, which with something blurry there, and or some elements of the card which allow multiple interpretations. So that's a big advantage of these decks. I don't know all Oracle and Tarot decks that exist, so there might be something similar, but in general, this is a completely different method. So, however, I have to say that I started doing research, and if you are interested in that research, you can find on my website a link. I'll put it in the link below as well, where you can take part in the research, where I am actually testing some Oracle and Tarot cards and work with them as I would work with metaphorical associative cards. Now, another question which I get is also how long is the session? So session usually is from 15 minutes to 2 hours. In my experience, it's more around 1 hour, 1 hour 15 minutes, or 1 hour and a half. And some sessions can be shorter if the question is shorter, and so that's how it works. So the main thing is that also we work only with one request per session. For example, I also practice astrological counseling, and at an astrological counseling you can take a lot of different questions depending on the type of sessions you're offering and the client. But here it best works when we focus only on one request or whatever related to that request. For example, I can broaden it a little bit, stretching, especially in counseling. It's a little bit more flexible, so I can take like peek into some other areas, but you wouldn't want to go deep into two different things because it just wouldn't be as productive and effective. So what else? Another question which I have heard a lot is for some reason people are interested like where can we get those cards, and there are a few shops to have online, to find online. The only thing is that because many of these cards were created in Eastern Europe, some of them they do not have copyright for the Western world. So in this case, like, you have to look what is available at the moment. And I hope in the future I will be able to bring some decks, some of my favorite decks, and to be able to offer them here in North America. Another question which I get is, can I work on my own with those cards? And the answer is yes, you can, but not with everything, right? So I'm actually going to soon start teaching how to work with metaphorical cards, training both specialists and everyone who is interested in this method, how one can work with these cards. And if you're interested, check the links below, and I hope you can join the webinar and the course. However, like, if you want to work on your own, I would still recommend to take the course first, and then you can try on your own. But it's not a method which you can use for self-healing and self-therapy, because it's like, it's very easy to, if you want to learn more about this method, of course it's best to take a workshop and take some course, or a few courses even, which is great, would be really beneficial. If you want to work with these cards as a specialist, if you're already a psychologist or coach, yes, it's a little bit easier for you to adapt to yourself. But as we know, it's very easy to get into something which is more logical part rather than intuitive and subconscious. So I don't think this method is as effective as it could be with a specialist. However, if you have a brief question, sort of like how you will feel if you do this or this. For example, this is a popular question for like single type of questions. To work on your own, then you can probably get some insights. From my experience, it doesn't always work for me personally, but in a way it is possible to use kind of like oracle cards in a way, I guess. But I think it does take some skills to use it on its own. So if you want to do some deeper work, both for counseling and therapy, and also even coaching, then I would definitely recommend to work with a specialist. Another way to work with it could be probably if you have a friend or a colleague with whom you also study, and so you know each other, you know what methods you've learned, and you can practice together with each other, and that way you can kind of use it in this way, right? If you're concerned about having a personal session. Now, what else people ask? There's another question on how long it can take to achieve something, and that's the advantage of this method, that this is so effective that even 1 or 2 sessions can already bring some results. So pretty much within 1 or 2 or 3 hours you can already resolve some things, or get ideas what to do, or get some insights what is causing some discomfort or like blocking something in your life, and that you can handle with it accordingly. Like through the session, usually the goal of the specialist is to find some resources and some ways to resolve it, but we are just guides here, right? So we are facilitators, and it's the person who the client who is describing the cards and is deciding for them what is right and what is not. These are pretty much the questions which I get about metaphorical cards most of the time. And if you would like to book a session, you're very welcome to fill out the form. And I also offer research sessions on a sliding scale. And if you are, for whatever reason, are limited in finances, feel free to email to me, because I do offer a certain amount during the month sessions on a reduced rate, and my rates are pretty affordable right now because I'm promoting this method in North America. And if you have questions, also you can write them in the comments. Like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to my channel, and I'll put some links in the description as well for the upcoming webinar and a course when it's coming. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.